Welcome back to the Wealth Witches podcast. I'm your host, Katelyn Magnuson, and I'm really excited for this episode. Not that I'm not ever excited for them. We're going to be recapping 2024 and we're going to be discussing what's to come in 2025. And I wanted to start off, first of all, with a heartfelt thank you to everyone that listens, everyone that takes the time to share this, to send it to their friends, to post about it, to leave a comment or a review. It means the world. I don't do this for myself. I do this for you. I do this for the listeners. I do this for our clients. I do this for people that are wanting to not feel so alone in the world, that are wanting a different take on finances and accounting, who are wanting to understand how to be more holistic when it comes to their finances, how to embrace that woo and the wealth and have debt and hold space for it and pay it off. And essentially, at the end of the day, to create a life of ands, not ors. And that's something that I have always valued. For the longest time growing up, you could have this or this thing. Whatever you did, there had to be trade offs. And I do think that there are some areas that can be the case. Maybe you can't have everything all the time, all at once, but I am absolutely here for a life of ands. I want to be able to travel and have, my loving household with my rescue fur balls. And I want to be able to run a successful business and also be able to take time away from it and also have a team that feels supported and has clients that they love working with and vice versa, has clients that rave about us and can't imagine going anywhere else. We're a staple in their businesses or their lives. And so much of that has come true this year. We wouldn't be here without you. So thank you. And I'm really excited for what 2025 is to bring because 2024 has been a super transitional year. We rebranded the podcast from the Confident Money podcast to Wealth Witches. I had my Wealth Witches trademark accepted. I stepped out a little bit, got vulnerable. I got political on TikTok. That went really well. Most of the time. Let's just say that it absolutely attracted my people and repelled my people, and I'm here for more of that. I'm here for more of that in 2025. I am here for more of showing up as myself and discussing being autistic and ADHD, having unique experiences for me that are also shared experiences of so many others. Because if anything from this last year, I've learned, especially from TikTok, very rarely are you actually alone in something. Even when you're alone in it in the moment, someone else has experienced something similar, the same thing. They might be going through it right now. And building community is so much of my focus in the coming year. A couple of things that we did outside of the trademarks, we did hire a new part-time team member. We continued to expand and update our services and offerings, which we're really excited. One of the biggest things that we did, and something that I think any business owner really should do, at least on an annual basis, but anyone that has seasonality to their business or that has a peak and an off season, which honestly, most businesses that I know, after your peak season, take some time, do a post-mortem. What worked well? What didn't work well? Ask your clients, ask your team, ask yourself. Take notes during the busy season for like what broke, what was clunky, where did you brush up against bottlenecks? Because it can be so easy to get to the end of the year and the end of the season or whatever it is, the push that you're in, and to kind of, gloss over what things were or to just completely have forgotten. So that's something that we did this year. We had switched tax softwares for any of you that work with us for taxes. Or not tax softwares, tax secure upload systems. We'd switched to Financial Sense and it was our first full tax season using it. There were definitely improvements that needed to be made, both on our end, things that our team found that we were like, we didn't love this. But once you're in it, you're kind of committed to it for the season. And we did keep Financial Sense because it wasn't Financial Sense that was the issue, is how we'd set up some templates. And then what I did this summer is I talked to probably 30 plus clients and I asked them what they liked, what they didn't like. Was there anything they would have improved? Was there anything they found frustrating? And then I also shared the things that we had noticed that we were planning to change. And they were, looking forward to it. They were excited, but we got some really good feedback. And that allows us to reshape what our templates and what our experience looks like for this year. So really excited for that. I did run, can't believe I buried the lead here. I did run the mastermind, the Get Your Finance Shit Together mastermind, which I used to run for anyone that's been here for a while. I used to run that 2 to 3 times a year prior to building a team. I used to put out a ton of course and mastermind and educational content. and I was a little bit less service heavy. Now, of course, we service some really amazing business owners and love working with them, but well, I've been building a team for the last 3 years and navigating what that looks like and, balancing our skill sets and our offerings and clients and just trying to make sure it all worked. I had stopped doing a lot of the teaching that I love so much. And I ended up this summer, late June or early July, and I finally had this sort of strike of intuition. And I decided, I was like, I want to run the mastermind again. I think it's time. I hadn't ran it since I think February of 2021. So we were going on 3.5 years. And I hadn't decided if I wanted to scrap it all together or not after this. And this was kind of a test run for me. So this mastermind was different than I've ever ran it in the past. Every mastermind iteration is different. I update materials. It is live. It's tailored to the course participants. And what was so interesting to me though this time is I took a swing and I had my really dear friend Robin with Wicked Veracity. She gifted free sessions as one of the fast action bonuses. She is a Hellenistic astrologer and is brilliant. And if you're like, hey, what does astrology have to do with finances? I'm showing up again as myself. Something that I really have delved deeply into over the last 2 years is my own personal astrology and those of the people in my life and how that influences both myself and them and our interactions and relationships in the world. And it was something that, as part of stepping up and showing up as myself, I wanted to bring the woo into the wealth. And we also had a wonderfully brilliant educator and speaker and coach, Aislinn. Aislinn McKenna came in and she spoke all about nervous system regulation. And in the mastermind, she was one of our guest speakers. We had Chelsea Abriel come in and she did this magical booty yoga session to, move your energy, move your body, provide grace. It was such an interesting way to run this mastermind. And I was really nervous and I didn't push the woo side of it a lot. And we got into it. Not only do we have people that are, interested in tapping and human design, we did have a human design expert. Jess Gelvin came in and she was fantastic for that too. And then we had our friends over at Inflow from the legal side. And so much of this was bringing all the different facets of what I have found to help me as a business owner, as a leader, as a founder, as a woman, as an individual in the society. And I brought them together. And I brought in the aspects that I felt were relevant to understanding how you operate in the world, how you show up, and how your finances function. So we covered taxes, we covered quarterly estimates, business entity types, income and expenses, accounting software setup, you name it. And it was absolutely a fucking blast. I haven't had that much fun, honestly, in a really long time. We wrapped it up last week. We had our very last office hours, and that was something that I did that was something I haven't ever done before. We would do the trainings every week, and then we'd have a Facebook group for support. And frankly, I would just as soon rather never get in Facebook again in my life. And we decided to do office hours in Gather, which is kind of like a Mario-esque um, platform to hang out in. It was really interesting. I was introduced to it by someone else, and we had so much fun in there. And the office hours were helpful in letting one being able to provide support on anything that was coming up. But we had our team members hop in. We talked about sales tax. Like sometimes I was in there for things, and that really, I think, not only solidified the learning that was going on, but allowed space for someone to process something from 2 weeks ago that maybe they had questions on and they felt like they couldn't ask it, because we were a couple weeks past that. So it went really well. The feedback that we got was honestly brought some tears, non ironically, brought some tears to my eyes as I was reading the feedback. And so I do plan to run it again next fall. At this point in time, I don't plan to run it more than once a year, but it was an absolute and utter delight. And anyone listening to this that participated in the mastermind, especially this first brand new iteration, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for participating. Thank you for making it fun. Um, I absolutely loved it. And it was I didn't want it to end. And I know that sounds really cheesy. And if there was a way that I could continually have you all in there, I absolutely would. Maybe we'll have something in the future. Never say never, but I do plan to run it again next fall for anyone that's like, oh, I'm so bummed I missed it. And I'm sure that that'll be a little bit different than this one was even. The exciting news though is that years ago I had created a self-study version of this, and I'd done, 4 or 5 iterations of this. I'd really gotten it down to a science of what needed to be covered. And we're going to be relaunching the self-study version, completely revamped, all brand new information. I have another 3.5 years of experience. We have an entirely different framework to be working in. We have feedback that's super relevant from new clients. We're out of the pandemic and we're navigating what the world is now. And that provides different information, different education that needs to be included in there. So if you're listening, I am thrilled. I'm so thrilled to have the self-study version going out into the world very, very soon. And then to have committed to running the mastermind was such a fantastic success this year that it absolutely encouraged me to be doing more of that. And also, that's my biggest focus for this next year is the team that I have now is killer. They are a delight. They are interested. They are learning. They are showing up for our clients, and our clients are doing the same. And that finally puts me in a place where I'm able to do more education. I'm able to do more trainings. I'm able to show up in the world and create content, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's this podcast. And that is what I have so much fun doing. I get to speak more too. I got to do several speaking engagements in 2024, and I am looking to do 12 speaking engagements in 2025. It'll be a big jump. And so, if you need someone to talk about any sort of finance topic, especially merging some woo, I'm your person and I'd love to hear from you. But that is really what I'm looking forward to in 2025 is more connecting, more showing up, more education, more existing in this space with amazing humans. And I have met some of the coolest people, both as podcast guests this year, as mutuals that have been connected with me on TikTok, on Instagram, and that has been an absolute delight. As someone that lives in the middle of nowhere, that is an introvert, and that tends to get most of their socialization from client interactions in a given day, being able to expand those relationships with colleagues, with other people in complementary industries has been really cool. Additionally, I have gotten to spend time with friends this year. And I know that that might sound like a no-brainer for so many of you, but I got to have an experience this year that I'm going to explain to anyone that might have found themselves in my shoes. And this is not strictly business related, but it was really interesting. One of her really good friends has become a friend of mine. And we went to go visit the friend of the friend for a concert in, I think, late August or September. And it was just going to be the couple of us, plus the one friend's husband, really comfortable with it, knew everyone that was going to be there except the husband. And he was a delight. But before the concert, so we went to CrossFit in the morning. I did CrossFit for the first time, which I actually loved because when I used to know of CrossFit, it felt very like toxic hustle culture. And I have a background lifting weights, being a varsity athlete, doing, things to take care of your body. And I figured I'd go try, and I did. And it was really supportive, fantastic, lots of modifications, and enjoyed it. So connected with a few people in CrossFit that day. And then that evening before the concert, this friend of our friend had invited 10 or 15 people over. And for anyone that knows me, I have a closet in my bathroom that Emily on our team has deemed the Harry Potter closet. It's kind of under our stairs, but it's carpeted, it's dark, it's quiet. And when I get overstimulated, when we host people in our house, I go hang out in there and I will send Marco Polos, normally to Emily, and just take a little time out, just a sensory chill. And so normally a situation like this would have absolutely sent me for the equivalent of, my Harry Potter cupboard. And instead, I had the really lovely experience of feeling like I had known everyone that showed up for years. I have never been so seamlessly integrated into an extended friend group in my entire life. I think I have done that for a lot of people over the years. We used to host, my husband's super extroverted, and our house was the gathering spot for years, and getting to experience the flip side of that and being able to connect with new people was just the highlight of my year. I think it was so much fun to show up in a space that would normally bring me some anxiety or just exhaust me. And I was tired by the time we were done, and I went to bed, I think at midnight that night after the concert. But I wish that for anyone listening, I wish that you have connection, authentic, compassionate connection, both this year and in the next, because for me, that has been one of my favorite things and something that I am leaning into and seeking out more of in 2025 and beyond. And we'll see what way, shape, or form that takes. One of the other really exciting things in 2025 is I have a couple of different freebie options that we're going to be putting out that are brand new, super valuable. I'm really excited about them. Some really small little mini offers. And then, of course, if you're listening, it's tax time, it's bookkeeping time. If you have been debating getting going with your bookkeeping and outsourcing it, now's the time to have the conversation, to reach out. And there's nothing wrong with reaching out and saying, I don't know if I can afford this. I don't know what I should be doing. I don't know what's normal or what makes sense. That's for us to show up and say, hey, businesses that are doing what you're doing, this is what we normally see, but here are a couple of other options. What feels good? And it may be that you continue to DIY. It may be that you outsource taxes now, and a year from now, you outsource bookkeeping. Those are all completely valid options for you. And it may just be that you have some education around what guidelines or bumper lanes you have in the future. Um, and I will say, I'm going to close this out with the last thing that I want to talk about is if you are a business owner and you are making or expecting to make $60,000 or more in profit this year. And when I say profit, I mean income minus expenses. That equals your profit. Your expenses do not include what you pay yourself. They do not include your quarterly estimated taxes, and they do not include any individual taxes that you pay. That's all included within your profit. If you're going to hit $60,000 or more, or you think you're going to this next year, I would absolutely encourage you to reach out, whether it's to us or another accounting firm, and just touch base about an S election, because that is something that, especially this time of year, is really important to be discussing. Because if you are making more than that, there's a very good chance that you are overpaying and potentially dramatically overpaying in taxes. And that is heartbreaking for me to come across during tax season or after tax season and not be able to have done anything about it. So I do encourage you, whether it's us, whether it's someone else, whether it's your, local accountant, reach out, have that discussion if you are there. And to everyone else, I hope that you have an absolutely magical end to your 2024 and the most delightful, aligned, and exciting 2025 that you can. And we'll be here to support you and chat about what comes up along the way.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Wealth Witches podcast. I hope our magical money talks have left you feeling empowered and inspired. Remember, wealth isn't just about dollars in the bank, it's about abundance and financial freedom in all aspects of your life. I'm Katelyn Magnuson, encouraging you to keep challenging the status quo and embrace your inner witch on this financial journey. Until next time, stay magical.